This episode is brought to you by CuriosityStream.
Hey, man.
What is going on? I've had my third cup of coffee and I'm ready now. Let's do it.
Have you ever heard of the Voynich Manuscript?
The Voynich Manuscript?
Voynich.
Is it German? Voynich?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, Polish.
Got it. Voynich?
Yeah. The Voynich Manuscript, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything for this one, no. I was out of school for like 3 weeks in elementary school because I had the shingles.
Meticulous diaries of what they were doing. And then it actually also had some KFC coupons.
When he was in there, a ghost came to him.
Here's a picture of Walgreens.
Well, he'll probably take my wife's last name, whatever.
Things I learned last night. TILLN it.
I was like, I had 3 cups of coffee. I'm so ready. Nothing. I got nothing.
Nothing.
Voynich Manuscript.
The Voynich Manuscript.
Oh, yes. It's the new Tom Cruise movie.
There it is. Okay.
It's the script for the new movie Voynich.
Voynich.
It does sound like an action.
It's actually Voynich Manu. That's his name. The script.
Voynich Manu?
Have you read the Voynich Manuscript?
That's better. You're right. That's right.
Voynich Manu.
Oh, the character's name is that. That's not just the movie.
Yeah, that's the name of the character.
Got
and
it.
It's named after him.
Voynich Manu. I mean, it's got a good flow to it. Yeah, Voynich. If this isn't bad, I like Voynich for a kid's name. You know? Yeah, no, these are my kids. We got Benjamin and Voynich. And you're
Voynich
like, oh, that's
Myers. Yeah,
what a leap.
Voynich
Manu Myers. VMM.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, he'll probably take my wife's last name, whatever. Okay, so what is the Voynich Manuscript?
So it is a handwritten codex of about 200 pages, somewhere around 200 pages, that was purchased and named after a Wilfrid Voynich, who's a Polish book dealer who found it in 1912.
He found it?
Yeah, he found it in 1912. There are rumors about where he found it. Some people say that he refused to tell anybody where he purchased it. But others say that he told them that he bought it from
Barnes and Noble. He's like, I was just walking through the store looking for Michelle Obama's new book, and there it was.
The Voynich Manuscript.
Well, it wasn't called that. His name is Voynich.
He was like, this book has no name. And he's like, excuse me.
Blank manuscript.
He was like, excuse me.
And then he grabbed a Sharpie and wrote. It's kind of like when at the beginning of a book, it says, this book belongs to, and he wrote Voynich.
He was sitting there flipping through it, and he's like, excuse me, ma'am, I couldn't help but notice that this doesn't have a name on it. And she's like, yeah, that's a Mad Lib. You need to write your name in.
He's like, okay. And it's 200 pages?
Yeah. Wow, that's a big Mad Lib.
That's a long Mad Lib.
What story are we telling here? I'm going to have to write poop so many times.
The Voynich went poop. We literally just had a conversation before this episode about how Tim is only allowed to do middle school ministry because of, don't just try to jump in with how I stuttered on ministry. He's only allowed to do middle school ministry because you don't have to do anything to make Tim laugh. Honestly, it's insulting to me, and there's so many times that I'm like, am I funny or is Tim just awful?
I love life, okay?
Oh, yeah, sue me. I'm joyful. Sorry. If when I die, they'll write my book called The Joyful Manuscript, which is 100% a book that is like a women's small group book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Candace Payne wrote it.
Yep, exactly.
I love Candace. I don't know. She does not listen to this, but I love her.
Yeah, so it was very peculiar. He found it. So the other theory is that he bought it from
Pirates.
Close, the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So he went to a Catholic church in Italy, and he.
Why am I in my head pronouncing pirates like Pirati, like Pilates? You know, in my head I was just like Pirati. Like I was trying to listen to you, but I couldn't get it out of my head. I was just sitting here like Pirates, Pilates.
We're going to a Pilates party. Excuse me. Are you trying to say pirate Pilates party?
Excuse you. What is it? Like a pirate pilot party?
Nobody talks like that.
Yeah, Catherine. We're going to the pirate pilot party.
But anyways, I gotta go to Target and get myself a striped shirt and a scarf.
You say a swipe shirt?
Excuse me, man. I
gotta go to Target and pirate a shirt real quick. Like you're straight up just taking it, so it's authentic.
Man, are you shoplifting? No, I'm pirating.
I'm swiping. And then she just looks at you and she goes, "Swiper, no swiping."
And she's like, ah!
He's like, "Shucks."
Go to the Target across town.
Across town. I'm
Barbara,
across the sea. This is,
Barbara,
we should just talk about
it's
the
manuscript.
manuscript.
It's supposed to be a striped shirt, not a swipe.
You know what I don't like? I don't like two white guys talking about any manuscripts. I'll tell you that. It feels like it's the Unabomber, you know, where it's just like.
So, anyways, he turns around and he makes copies of it.
He bought it from the Catholic Church.
Theoretically.
A Catholic Church.
Theoretically.
Or the Catholic Church.
Both.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like the Vatican was involved in this transaction or if it was.
Theoretically.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's the conspiracy.
Yeah. It's there's a lot that's unclear.
Okay.
But he bought this and he immediately turned around, made a bunch of copies, started selling the copies.
Obviously.
It's 1914 or 1912 at the time when he found it.
The war is starting.
No, I don't think so. That's a couple years away. 19?
14?
19?
We're on the cusp.
We're on the cusp of war. He's saying he's watching.
Well, I mean, like, it's not like people wake up one day and they go, let's go to a world war today. You know, it's not like that happens. Tensions are building.
It's a good day for the First World War.
So I was like, 1914 is whenever.
Yeah, 1914. So a couple years from the war.
They're inching closer.
Yeah, and so he turns around, starts selling this book. And what was peculiar about it is it was clearly a very old book.
Yeah.
And it was covered in these illustrations of mostly plants that exist, but also plants that don't exist. And also plants that were just kind of like haphazardly put together. Like the flowers from one plant, the leaves from the other, a stem from another one.
Okay.
And so it was very curious.
When you say covered, this is in the book or this is on the cover?
In the book, drawings of these plants. Also,
So what you're saying is how many pictures of flowers were in this book?
I actually can tell you
when
exactly.
Comparing this to that book from the pastor that we got, Pastor Danny Brown.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty equivalent amount.
A fitness book that is mostly just a catalog of shirtless pictures of himself.
Yeah, of this pastor, yes. There's 112 pages of flower pictures. Okay. So actually pretty close to the same amount.
Yeah.
There's also 21 pages of astronomical diagrams.
Okay.
Then there are 20 pages of...
doodles.
Yeah, doodles of nude women bathing in pools and tubs with an elaborate network of pipes connecting them and the green fluid that is filling the tubs. 20 pages of this. It's very strange.
And he found this manuscript and was like, people need to see this.
Yeah. And then there's 13 pages of cosmological diagrams, so of zodiac signs. 34 pages of very early pharmaceutical images, and then 22
pharmaceutical images, like,
yeah, so like
prescriptions or like.
Here's a picture of Walgreens.
That's what I was like, what are you talking about? Pharmaceutical images is in like formulas?
CVS. Yeah, formulas.
Okay.
Diagrams of how to make these recipes.
Got it.
And then actual 22 pages of recipes. So it was an interesting collection of
Drugs.
Most likely.
Not, here's my grandma's soup. Maybe.
Okay, so here's...
You turn the page of like some women in a tub, turn it over, like green liquid. It's grandma's legendary soup.
Look at all these women bathing in grandma's
Look at...
soup.
Ironically, the same thing that the women in the end zone of the XFL were in was just grandma's soup.
Grandma's soup. Yeah, so obviously it's a really weird eclectic collection of...
Sure. So basically it was just
things and
someone's journal, maybe?
Not really, because when...
Because it's formalized. Like they wrote this to be read by other people.
Yeah, along with all these illustrations is a text that pairs with every illustration. There's a text that pairs with it.
Got it. So it's not just like, oh, this is, random stuff.
What's curious is the text is written in
a made-up language.
Something we don't
discernible
know.
language.
No discernible language. Well, it's a discernible language. It's definitely a language. It's not a language we have any record of. So what is generally considered is it's a code. It's some sort of cipher.
Okay.
And so it was written to obviously convey some sort of information about these illustrations, but they wanted to hide it. What the information was that they were going with all of these doodles. And it's created this mass attempt from so many professionals trying to figure out, okay, can I crack this code? And so today, CIA agents, professional decipherers, code crackers, that would have been a really good snack in the 90s.
Yeah, it would have. That would have been a good thing to pair, like sponsored by Spy Kids.
Yeah,
those code crackers.
Yeah, code crackers.
And then they all come with 3D glasses. Every snack in the early 2000s came with 3D glasses.
What am I going to look at with these?
Yeah, the amount of 3D glasses just out in the world was insane. I mean, eventually people started getting prescription 3D glasses because they were like, I'm going to have to watch 3D movies. Watch 3D. Do they do 3D movies anymore?
I don't think so. My grandma has a 3D TV.
No, they do because they do the black glasses now. Like they're not red and blue,
on them, don't they? They do.
A switch in them?
There's a switch. There's a switch that turns it from 3D to not 3D. So that way you can put them on before the movie, and then when the movie starts,
has that happened since I've gone to a real D movie now?
Yeah, I think so. I remember at some point in my life flicking the switch. Maybe it was my grandma's 3D TV actually.
Maybe she had a 3D TV.
Yeah, my grandma bought a 3D TV when they like first came out. It was like $7,000. I was like, Grandma, you're wasting your money. And she was like,
it's gonna hold its value.
She was like, wait till you watch Avatar. And she bought the 3D TV in Avatar, and that's the only 3D movie she's ever watched on it is Avatar.
But was it worth it?
It was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't spend $7,000 on it, but
well, I mean, that's nothing compared to what James Cameron spent on that movie. I mean,
well, he made a lot too.
What's crazy to me is that they're making an Avatar world
it was a single movie, and it was
it is not a single movie. I'll tell you what, there is a new one coming out this December.
But when
there's
did the
an
first
Avatar
one come out?
sequel.
10 years ago?
There is a third one coming out the following December. They literally they were like, you know what? We had one movie 10 years ago that was, kind of, big deal.
It was a big hit. Yeah, it was a really
big deal only because of the technology involved in it. Yeah. Now, if that came out, they'd be like, okay, great.
They'd be like, okay, cool. Movie with blue people.
So they're putting out 3 more of them.
Wow. I had no idea.
No one has any idea. People were just like, yeah, it was like a 10-year-old movie. They're coming out with it. They didn't make a sequel. They made it a 4-part series, 5-part maybe.
Jeez.
And they're putting out more Avatar. I'm passionate about it.
If they would have done this years ago, it probably would have been successful.
Yes, and now it's like, why are you? First of all, you're banking on that movie theaters will still exist now.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, like, I don't know. Do you think it's gonna be? I don't know. Anyway, Avatar. Wow, Avatar is based on the Voynich Manuscript.
Yeah,
is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So there is a codex. People have been trying to figure it out.
Nobody's ever have though. Mm-hmm. And there's record of people trying to solve this.
Didn't they just crack the Zodiac Killer's letter this year?
Mm-hmm. They did just crack that. But they still haven't cracked the Voynich Manuscript. There are record long before Wilfred Voynich ever bought it. There's records
record
of people trying to crack it, going all the way back.
I was going to say, how old?
The 1500s.
What? No way.
Records of people trying to crack this and not be able to crack it.
So these drawings of tubs are not modern tubs, is what you're saying?
No, these are ancient tubs.
Yeah.
That's an ancient tub.
That's an ancient tub right there. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, this home has 3 bathrooms
How do you spell
and an ancient tub. ANKSHINT. That's how I spell it.
What did you just? That's how I spell it. I literally hate this podcast. Go.
Okay, so I said.
Can you bleep him? That I don't know what that sounded like, but that was. I can't have that out there. I just had a viral video. I can't have people finding my. I'm gonna get canceled. That's the only thing a Christian comedian can do to get canceled is cuss. Everything else is fair game, but man, if a Christian comedian cusses, it's game over.
Out. Yeah, that's crazy. So recently they tested it. Were able to confirm that it was written sometime between.
What do you mean they tested it?
Like they took samples of it, they took it to a lab, and the people at the lab said,
"Yeah, but didn't they do that with chicken wings? Am I hearing a rumor on the internet where they did that with like KFC chicken wings, and the test came back and it was like these are 1,000 years old."
I mean, they probably are.
What is that called? What is it?
Like carbon dating.
Yeah, carbon dating. That's what I was trying to think of.
I don't know what how they dated it. Hold on, let me see. Oh yeah, it was carbon dated. So yeah, it got carbon dated to sometime between 1404 and 1438.
And then as they were opening up to do that, they saw on the front page it said this book was written in 15, and they were like, oh, well, I mean, like, should we still do it?
Should we still do it?
Should we still carbon date this?
Yeah.
It seems to be just regular dated.
It was. And the date, and then it actually also had some KFC coupons right underneath it.
Yeah, and they were like, wow.
Out these KFC coupons.
I guess the kernel's been around for a while.
Well, they did a bunch of other testing, though. They tested for lead or any modern ink.
I got it.
There.
Just to see, yeah.
They tested.
So they said they estimate that it's from when?
Between 1404 and 1438 was when it was written.
Okay.
So...
That's a pretty narrow as old as it is. That's a pretty narrow
window. Yeah.
Do they have any idea of where it came from?
There's theories. There's a lot of theories.
Okay.
And so
can we buy a copy of this somewhere?
There are like people like companies.
There are. There are.
Like that kid. It's like that kid in that interview. He's like, apparently, we rolled the roller coaster.
Yeah, love it.
So
there are some theories.
Yeah. So I hate you so much.
Well, dude, just talk better.
Hey, we want to take a second to thank this week's sponsor, CuriosityStream. Man, this is one of my favorite services. I actually am subscribed to this, and I love it. For $3 a month, you can get access to thousands of documentaries. It's a documentary streaming service, just like Netflix. You go on there, all kinds of documentaries in science, technology, history, you name it, they got it. And it was even created by the dude who used to run Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, Science TV. So really reputable documentaries all throughout it, and it is awesome. Only $3 a month. You can't get a better deal for anything like this. Yeah. I watch it all the time. You can sign up at TILLN.com/curiositystream today.
To say something, dude. What, did I scare you into silence?
You shut me down. I can't do anything. I'm broken. You broke me.
All right, we'll talk about it with our counselor this week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. All right,
I like implying that we have a joint counselor. We go to friendship counseling.
Yeah, he said this thing and I just froze up. I couldn't say anything else after that for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, he lied to me the other day. I tried to hang out with him. He's like, no, I got to go give my lizard a bath. I was like, what?
Who says that? So this the theories about the document are really wide ranging about who wrote it and why they wrote it.
Okay.
The widely accepted theory about why it was written is that it's some sort of early doctor's kind of manual. But this doctor, they theorize.
Are the meds in it things that we would use now? Do they know? I guess they can't read it, so they don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a mixture of alchemy and early pharmaceuticals, which is really, pharmaceuticals kind of came out of alchemy. And the zodiac signs fall right in line with, in that era, we do know that there was different treatments for conditions based on zodiac signs. So if you and I had the same condition, because we have different zodiac signs, we would get different treatments.
Do we have different zodiac signs?
Yes, we do.
Do you know when my birthday is?
February 25th?
You're so bad at this, dude.
Is that right?
No.
23rd.
Yeah. Do you know when that is?
It's coming up.
That's all you know, huh?
I don't need to know exactly the day.
Why?
Because the calendar will tell me. The calendar app will tell me what the day. It's in 4 days.
Do you have it in your calendar?
No, I know that shut up.
I know when your birthday is.
What is it?
May 13th.
What's the day?
What day is that on?
Don't look at your calendar.
No, I don't need to know what day, but I'm just saying that I wanted to know if you knew that my birthday was this week.
Yeah, it's coming up. Okay, I know it. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Gosh.
I'll bring it up to our counselor. The only reason I know when yours is because I just have to Google when was the hepatitis A breakout at Red Robin in Springfield.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. So
so they based it on, so if you're a Pisces or a Capricorn, you would have a different solution.
A different treatment, yeah. And,
interesting. Why is that? There's no science behind it, but I'm saying, like, why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. They really, in that era, put a lot of value into astrology. So maybe. They also know in that era, bathing was a common treatment. So it makes sense why they had all those women bathing in that green goop connected by pipes and stuff like that.
They still do that now. Like, I hear, like, if you get chicken pox, you just bathe in tomato soup. Have you heard that?
Yeah. Well, no, that's a skunk.
Is that a skunk? Maybe I was just thinking chicken pox because our last episode we mentioned it. That's funny. No, I had to bathe in, like, oat milk for, not oat milk, but milk and oats I had shingles when I was a kid.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I thought that was an old person thing. Well, not then.
I thought it was.
It's supposed to be, but I was out of school for like 3 weeks in elementary school because I had the shingles. Yeah, but I was also super wrinkly then. And like I had gray hair and I walked with a cane and stuff.
Are you Benjamin Button?
That was the joke, yeah.
You walked into your parents' room.
And I was like, guys, it would seem as something's wrong with my lower back. And they were like, that's not a Missouri accent. I guess go get the oat milk. Do you mean the oat milk? Or do you mean milk and oats? Or do you mean Holland oats? I'll see myself out, guys. Like, cause
Why
I'm
is
old man.
our kid so old?
Oh man.
Oh, that joke's better than
I missed out on my childhood. I just yelled at my friends from the front porch, shaking a newspaper at them.
So the theory is that this doctor who wrote it.
We're calling him a doctor now.
He's an early doctor. He's a witch doctor.
We're calling him a him.
Most likely
in
that era, most likely was probably him, given the way education was set up in that time period. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this person most likely had gained some sort of renown for their medical practice and didn't want to give away their secrets, so they developed some sort of code
to keep it
secret, so they could read the recipes.
Because patents weren't a thing yet.
Patents were still pending.
Yeah,
patents as a whole was pending, and so he developed this code to keep his recipes secret. Is the prevailing theory about it?
Well, maybe it's in English. It's just a doctor wrote it, so we can't read it.
That's pretty good.
That was all right.
Yeah. So, what's strange is that obviously we still haven't been able to figure this out, and everything we know about ciphers and
we've been trying for 600 years.
Yeah, from that era, everything we know is there was nothing that was as complicated that we shouldn't be able to figure it out now. Everything we know of from that era that was common in that era.
And honestly, you
cracked.
should be able to plug it into some kind of computer.
They've done that. They've
Try
had
to
an
build
AI system
algorithms
try
for
to decipher it, and it couldn't. And so if AI can't figure this out, like, we're never going to. And so that's led a lot of people to think it's just gibberish.
Did they check the last page of the book? Tim calls me in the middle of the day the other day.
The best idea I've ever had.
He opens the call like that. I said, hello? The best idea I've ever had. He says, what if you wrote a book? Go ahead, just tell the idea.
Yeah, so you write a book, and I've refined this a little bit since then to make it work a little better. You poked some holes in it, so I took it back to the drawing board, and I've adjusted some things. Okay. So the whole point of the book is you write a book about some topic that's like fanatical, right? So that's like a conspiracy theory almost. That's going to draw people in, and you just lie the whole time, and you just bait them on the hook.
You just make up
and
stuff.
You just reel them in, and so like people are going to get reeled in because they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is insane. I can't. And you just make up sources. You just lie. You just lie a whole bunch, and you just let them get through this whole book. And then on the last page, they open up that last page, and you reveal the lie. And you're like, I just made this whole book up. And when they open that page, it's one of those cards from the store that has a little music player. And it's just like, bow, 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 bow. And that's it. That's the idea. It's really funny.
And Tim was like, you could merch that. Tim was like, this is the best idea I've ever had. I would rank this idea of all my ideas number 1.
Can you imagine just reading this whole
Open that
book?
last page. Bow, 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 bow. But then, and I poke some holes in it, you got to make sure they don't go to the last page before. Like, you got to make sure they never flip through.
It's very important. The last
and also, those cards are thick. Like, if it's got a little music player in it, it's creating a little bump in the...
I figured both these things out. So here's how you get over this part.
You tape it down.
Yeah, so you seal it, and it's like one of those.
You have
books.
like one of those little, like, you know when you open a little pack of Dayquil and it's got the little peel here thing. You put that at the top corner.
Here's the thing. It's got a CD-ROM in the last, and you tell them about the CD. You say there's a CD-ROM in the last page, but you have to read the book first to understand the CD-ROM, and so then the last page is the seal, and so it's like okay. We'll finish this thought on the next page. Open the seal. You open the seal. Mm-hmm. The CD-ROM.
Why do you call it a CD-ROM the whole time? Why not just go a CD? We all know what a CD is.
We all know in the application where you have a free CD-ROM and something, it's never a CD. You don't get a box of cereal that says free CD. It's always a CD-ROM. Okay. You're not going to fool somebody if you just say free CD inside. People are going to be like, that's fake.
Oh, that's on the cover. The CD.
Free CD, ROM included.
Yeah.
And so then they think, oh, it's sealed. I have to read the book to get the seal. I'm going to unseal it. And it's just an outline of a CD-ROM, but really it's the
What
the
you
player.
really should do is make a test at the end where they have to fill out the test. And if they answer the questions, then it unlocks. You know, I mean, it's getting
like
more and more complicated.
Notebooks.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's a 3-digit little code that you give throughout the book.
Yeah. There we go. I think we're onto something here. Patent pending.
TILLN.com/merch. It's a book we wrote about the Voynich. Voynich? Is that what we're...
Voynich Manuscript.
No, the Voynich was Jimmy John's, they made a
They made a sandwich for it.
Yeah, it was the promo sandwich.
It was very mysterious. What they did is the bun was like silly putty, and they would just stick newspaper all over the outside of the bun, and it would leave the ink on it. It was really bad for you.
Yeah.
A lot of people got really sick.
Yeah. A lot of people got putty poisoning.
Yeah, boss, I can't come in today. I got putty poisoning. Excuse me?
All right. Okay. So you're thinking that he didn't want to give away the secrets.
Yes. So he wrote this fake or this code to hide what he was writing.
Yeah, because bathing was kind of like a therapeutic thing.
It was a therapeutic thing, yeah. And so he's
wasn't
hiding.
Something you did every day.
So then a lot of people were like, okay, well, who wrote this? Who was the person that we attribute this to? One of the theories is this guy named Roger Bacon.
Bacon?
Bacon.
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 Okay.
Yes. And so he was a guy who was in the 13th century, so right at the time when it was written. And he was a religious friar, but also a polymath, which just meant like he really loved studying a lot of different...
Religious friar is what they call the cooks at Chick-fil-A, by the way. Go ahead.
Okay. A polymath is just someone who's knowledgeable about a ton of different subjects and was very interested in it. So he spent a lot of time studying different things. And why a lot of people attribute him as the author is because there's a lot of drawings that seem to be too advanced for the time.
Okay.
For example, there is drawings that very closely resemble like the cell wall in certain plants, and then there are drawings that look like molecules, things that we
would
known.
not have seen yet.
Yeah, and so theoretically, they could have been doodles that just happened to look like these things. But there's a volume of these microscopic drawings that very closely resemble these things, and since we don't know what the code says, we don't know what they're talking about, we don't know for sure. But there's so many things that closely resemble that there seems to be some sort of understanding of the microscopic level of some of these plants.
Sure.
The reason why it's attributed to this guy is because he was incredibly fascinated with magnifying glasses. Like weirdly loved magnifying glasses.
And they were like, they watched him over there with his...
It's magnifying glass.
All day he's just frying ants out on the sidewalk, and they were like, that guy seems pretty smart.
He's a real religious friar. Yeah, so he was the reason
They're like, he sees small things. He wrote this book.
But he learned how to look really closely at certain things, and there's other writings of his where he was discovering things not at like a molecular or microscopic level, but at a very granular level that
Did
was
you have to do the thing in
time.
middle school where you put your saliva on a slide and look at it?
Look at it and you realize how gross you are.
Yeah. Do you think about those things moving around your mouth a lot? Because sometimes
Not
I
often,
do.
but I am now.
I know, and you're like,
I need to spit.
I don't want that. Did you just go spit on my carpet?
I didn't. I was going to.
Thanks for your self-restraint.
You're welcome.
Proud of your growth, man. Counseling's been working.
Thanks. So people assume maybe it was Roger Bacon.
Okay.
Really, it was.
Did he write other things? Was there anything?
Yeah, he has some other writings, and that's why they say, because in his other writings he alludes to things that were a little ahead of his time in terms of seeing things at such a small level. But this is even smaller than what Bacon wrote about. So some people assume that maybe it was in his collection because he was around the same time, but maybe it wasn't actually his. Another theory is that it was this guy named Edward Kelly, who was a medium of the day.
Oh.
And so he was an interesting guy because he is what you call a scam artist.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so he was he cheated his way into Rudolph II, who was the high king of the Holy Roman Empire. At that time, he cheated his way into his interior court by telling him that he knew a mixture of herbs he could put together to create gold. And so he goes to the king's court and he tells him, he's like, I can make gold from this mixture of herbs that I created. And he's like, prove it. And he's like, okay, could you step out of the room for a second? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, as he mix all this stuff together, makes some chemical reaction, makes it like blow up.
Right.
And then comes back out with a piece of gold. And he's like, see? And then the king was like, oh my gosh. And so he became a part of the inner court.
They didn't frisk him when he walked in.
Nobody was
they weren't like, does he already got gold on him?
Yeah, they gotta have gold already. He's like, no, I made it, and they bought it, and so he became an interior part of the court. And so some people said, and we know for a fact that this was definitely in Rudolph II's personal library at one point in history. This book, the Voynich Manuscript. So the theory is...
And there's no copies of it. It's this.
Yeah, this is the only... Up until Voynich in 1912, nobody had copied it. And so the theory is that Edward Kelly faked it to continue being a part of the inside of this.
Yeah, it's just all gibberish.
Yeah, and it's just fake. What makes this theory kind of fall apart is two things. One,
the accuracy of the drawings.
Yeah, so the drawings are pretty accurate, and there does seem to be a pretty strong understanding of medicine in that era. That would be kind of surprising if Edward Kelly had that much understanding. But 2 is just the both financial and time cost of this book. This book is well over 200 pages. They're not the best drawings in the world, but it would have taken some work, and so they expect that if someone dedicated full-time hours, 40 hours a week towards this, it probably would have taken 3 to 5 years to write.
Okay. So this is a life work.
Yeah, this is a long project. On top of that, it was written not on regular parchment, but calfskin, which is much more expensive.
Yeah.
And the pigments used were much more expensive pigments, so much so that
But would that something that Rudolph would have paid for?
Theoretically, they could have. But it would be surprising. So the theory goes that it was something he
in what
made
region
to
is this
sell
in again?
to Rudolph. Let me double check where this would have happened. This is happening. The Voynich Manuscript is moved all over the place, but this would have been in like the Hungary, Austria region.
Okay.
Hey, earlier we mentioned Curiosity Stream, and they actually have an episode all about today's subject, and it is called The Voynich Code. That documentary is so good. I watched it in preparation for this episode. So if you want to know even more about the Voynich Manuscript, you got to check it out. You can sign up online at TILLN.com/curiositystream. That's TILLN.com/curiositystream. It's possible that he would have access to that.
Okay.
Being in the court. But it is a lot to spend on something that he is just faking.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, but this, I'm thinking if you've got to keep producing gold, like you have to have some kind of financial investment.
True.
To be like, look at all this gold I made.
Yep.
So it's not, what's that dude's name from Fire Festival? Billy McFarlane.
Huh?
Firefest guy who just was just basically chasing his debt. Which I mean, so if you're just pouring money into things just to try to keep up with your lie, then why not go all out for a book?
Yeah, maybe. But probably the nail in the coffin.
No, you can't kill me. I haven't finished it yet.
I'm still working on it. The nail in the coffin is that they actually kept pretty meticulous diaries of what they were doing.
Oh, okay.
And there's no mention of it. So I mean, maybe he did.
Yeah,
He just hid that from it. But he had his other lies were in those diaries. So it'd be if this was his.
When did people know he was
lie.
lying?
I don't know.
I'm interested in that guy. Did he get killed? Did he get found out and murdered?
I mean, I assume. I don't know.
Or did he die peacefully and go down with his secrets?
I don't know.
And then afterward, they were like, wait, this guy was lying the whole time.
Wait, this guy lied to us this whole time?
My whole life?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, we can figure it out later.
So that's another theory of where it came from. Who knows? Another one is an engineer named Giovanni Fontana, who has some other diaries that have drawings that resemble the drawings in this. It's a similar style. And so some people say that it might be
Giovanni?
Yeah, Giovanni Fontana.
What a cool name.
Yeah, that's like a rock star name right there.
Yeah.
And the timeline was a similar timeline, but other than the fact that it just looks similar, there's really no other evidence for that.
Right.
Yeah, so another theory that I really like is that this was one of the early doodle books of...
Yes. No, keep going.
Hold on. The early doodle books of Leonardo da Vinci.
When was Leonardo da Vinci alive?
100 years after this book was written.
Okay.
So probably not.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, whatever.
And also we do know that he came from money, so he probably did have access to that. But we do have some of his early drawings when he was a kid, and they're significantly better than anything in the Voynich.
When he's a kid?
Yeah.
Da Vinci was brilliant from a child?
Yeah. He was always
Like 3 years old, just drawing naked ladies in a tub.
Yeah, he was like a real Leonardo da Vinci right out the gate. 3 years old drawing. Hey, how do you know about? Okay. Oh. I'm Leonardo da Vinci, Mom.
Yeah, she's like, whoa, this kid's advanced and also disrespectful.
But I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just tell me what you want.
Yeah.
You want a grilled cheese? I can go make you.
You know,
one.
that drawing's so good. They're gonna name a turtle after you one day. That's crazy.
Another theory is a guy named Jacobus Sinapius.
Jacobus Sinapius?
Yeah.
That's not how it's pronounced, but okay.
And what's interesting about this one is when Voynich, the guy who bought the book in 1912, was making his copies of the book. This was in an era when most copies were made similar to how we, I guess we don't do this anymore, but would publish film photos. And so you have like a dark room where you like soak them in the water and pull them out,
When he was in there, a ghost came to him and said, I am Jacobus. And he's like, what?
Like, Wilfred.
And he's like, I'm Jacobus.
The true name of the manuscript. the
Jacobus manuscript.
And Voynich was like, nah, we're using my name.
No. Jimmy John's can't merge that.
Sorry. So while he was doing that, Voynich on one of the pages discovered a page where that name, Jacobus Sinapi, was on one of the pages, but scratched out. And so they scratched out the paper because it's calfskin. They were able to actually scratch it out, but it left the residue and that he could see while he was in that dark room making the copy. And so some people theorize, hey, maybe he wrote it and that was his signature to say, hey, I was the one who did it. But then it obviously got scratched out at some point by some owner. Or
when the Unabomber envelope had numbers imprinted on it because someone had put a sticky note over the envelope and wrote a name.
Yep.
And they were looking for that name, and then they realized that the guy in the mailroom puts a sticky note on it and wrote the name.
Yep. Same thing. Same concept.
In the 1400 mailroom.
Well, here's what actually probably happened. This Jacobus Sinapius was actually Rudolph II's imperial distiller. And so he would make their beverages. But this was 150 years after the manuscript was known to be written. And so what the theory is this guy got his hands on the book and just wrote his name in it.
The distiller.
I'm going to write my name in this book.
I see the book over there. It needs a name. I'm going to write my name in it.
Write my name in it.
And then someone scratched it out.
Yeah,
someone was like, no.
Jacobus.
Jacobus, you idiot.
Yeah. Another theory is that it's just some kid's doodle book.
Are the drawings that elementary?
They're some of them. I mean, here's what's interesting about them. They appear to depict a pretty decent knowledge of a lot of plants and astronomical signs and medicine, but they're not very well done, if that makes sense.
Okay. So the knowledge behind it is not elementary, but the drawings.
The drawings aren't great.
It's not an artist.
Yeah. Which we can make a list. We'll put some pictures on the website, the webpage for this episode.
Which is just TILLN.com/
Voynich Manuscript.
Voynich Manuscript.
Yeah. The pictures, some of the pictures they're not good. They're just really bad. So some people are like, it's just some kids' doodles. And then kids, they're weird. So they just make up weird languages. The problem is the language follows a distinct pattern and follows that there's reused letters and reused words. Like
it's at least sophisticated enough that there is.
Yeah, it's definitely some sort of code or language. Okay. We know that for sure. It's not just somebody just sitting there just scribbling and being like, it kind of looks like words. It's definitely made
a language.
Yeah, it's made to look like, or at least someone who
trying to go back and read it.
Yeah, or even just like trying really hard to make it look like a language. So maybe they knew what language looks like and made up a bunch of random words and have this list of words and phrases. that are literally mean nothing, and they're just sitting there writing it down because there's things that are reused and patterns, and there's a structure to it that assumes that there was some sort of structure to writing it, not just random. But all in all, so much effort has been put into trying to crack it. Nobody's ever been able to crack it. And nobody's ever been able to figure out where it came from. We've got the dating now from taking the samples, but we can't figure out where it's from. And we can make assumptions based on these images, what it's about, but we can't make clear statements on what it's actually written. So as you would expect, the conspiracy theorists have come out of the woodwork around this.
And where was it when Voynich got it?
There's two schools of thought that conflict each other. One is that he bought it from the Catholic Church.
Yeah, but I'm saying like where? Where was he at?
Oh, I don't know exactly where he was. I know he's a Polish book dealer.
Okay.
I don't know if he bought it in Poland or if he traveled to get it. Yeah, so it's
what's the other one? He bought from the Catholic Church and he just found it in the dirt?
He won't tell anyone where he found it. The other one is that he wants to keep it a secret. He doesn't want anyone to know. So he stole it or made it up. And that's another theory that Voynich made it up.
Yeah.
The issue with that is that it's very clearly like we've carbon dated it, the ink, we've carbon dated the pages, and there's a lot of other like there's no evidence of any modern technology from that era, from 1912. So he would have had to go find 260 some odd pages from the 1400s.
Then write something in it.
And find the ink from that era.
And then also write Jacobus.
Yeah.
And scratch it out.
Yeah. And all the ink, what's interesting is all the ink is from 3 or 4 batches of ink. And so we know.
Oh, so it was in 3 or 4 sittings.
Yeah. And yeah, it took a long time to write, but we know that that it was at least continuous, because we know if it was a long drawn out thing, then we would have dozens.
Multiple. Yeah.
But it was only a couple batches, and we know it was written by one hand because someone
it's consistent throughout.
Yeah, it's consistent in the way it's written. So very strange manuscript, and no real way to know for sure what it's about or who wrote it. Conspiracy theorists have thrown everything from aliens came and
obviously
wrote the book.
It's always aliens.
Which is interesting that an alien would come and write a book on calfskin with our ink,
and then sell it to the Catholic Church.
Yeah, and then be like, "Hey, buy this." Like, we can make gold.
Worth a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's theories that it's like an ancient civilization wrote this, and it's even older than it says.
Yeah.
Or that this was a copy. Somebody copied something even older into this, which is an interesting idea. What is very curious is that there's this line of things that are real and things that aren't real in it. And so it's like what?
So it's like a mix of, or was something real then that is not?
Yeah, it could be extinct. That's another theory, is that it's a language that is extinct that we have no idea about.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Or like a subgroup with a language. Another group thinks it's a shorthand of Latin.
Sure.
So because Latin is so not universally known, but experts should be able to figure that out, and AI should be able to figure that out. Absolutely. So it's a very strange thing. No idea what it's about, but it's all on the internet. The whole thing is online. We can
you can read it. You can try to decipher it.
We can include that link. So if you want to sit down and see if you can figure it out,
TILLN.com/Voynich Manuscript. It's all there.
And we'll include that link in that page. So
that's pretty crazy.
No clue what it is. Probably aliens.
Yeah. Well, in the back, there's a drawing of a fiddle. And when you open the last page, it goes...
Hey, thanks so much for watching Things I Learned Last Night. If you like that, there are more episodes you can watch, or you can watch some highlights, but please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode in the future.